Now have our next guest on, and I'm so pleased to have Elizabeth Martin on. She's the CEO, I guess, of Consumer-Directed Choices. When I first saw that, I go, what is that? Aren't we all consumers directed? Tell us a little bit about it, because this is unique.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, Consumer-Directed Choices is a nonprofit that's located in Albany, and what we do is we provide fiscal intermediary services for consumers who use a program called Consumer-Directed Personal Assistance.
Okay.
Consumer-Directed Personal Assistance is an alternative to home care that's funded by Medicaid. When most people think about home care, they think of the agency, where there's staff that's employed by the agency.
You call it,
yes,
and
they assign somebody out, they assign staff to the patient, they manage the care plan. What's different about this, what makes this an alternative, is that instead of an agency staffing the home care program and managing that home care plan, the consumer is actually managing their own home care plan. And they also are the employer of their home care staff, so they recruit, hire, train, supervise, schedule, and if they need to, terminate their own personal assistants. What Consumer-Directed Choices does as a fiscal intermediary is that we provide an administrative infrastructure to allow them to be employers. So the bulk of what that is we provide payroll and benefits to the personal assistant on behalf of the consumer.
Oh.
And then we get reimbursed by Medicaid for that.
I see.
So,
okay. Now, do you? I noticed that you have a job fair, so you do look for people to work.
Yep. Yes, it was a way of trying to connect people who are looking for jobs with consumers who are looking for personal assistance.
Okay.
So that one of the things besides the payroll and benefits that we provide, we also provide a lot of employer supports to consumers and their designated representatives if they have them. And it's just to help them really be the best employers they can be. So job fairs is one of them. It's a recruitment tool that we
So if somebody's looking for a job, now this would be like a part-time job, or?
It could be part-time, full-time. It really depends on what the consumer needs for their time. A personal assistant might be hired by multiple consumers. So it really depends on what the consumer needs and what the personal assistant wants. Another support that we provide for consumers and designated representatives is a web-based recruitment tool that we call the RACE. It's a recruitment assistance intermediary system. Very complicated name, but it's a web-based tool for consumers to use. And what's within that database are people who are looking for work with consumers. So they can use that to help search for personal assistance as well.
Now, when you talk personal assistance, are you talking, I know we talked earlier about this, I'm thinking someone that comes in maybe helps clean up the house a little bit, or helps you with your bills, or helps you maybe shop. But you're saying they can do even more than that.
They can do anything from housekeeping to personal care tasks that we normally think of, the bathing, the dressing. They can also do skilled nursing tasks under the training and supervision of their consumer. So they can do wound care, trach care, catheter care, and that is something that they are allowed to do. There's an exemption in the Nurse Practice Act to allow them to do it.
So that's if the consumer tells them.
Yeah, the consumer has to have the ability to instruct them and feel comfortable with that.
Okay.
Not all of our consumers use, or do that.
Yeah, and they may not even need that, but maybe and this probably would be the personal assistant might say, well, I'm not comfortable with that, even though you're showing me how to do it. I'm not comfortable with that. Maybe you need to get another personal assistant.
Absolutely, and then that's what the consumer would make a decision as to whether or not that's the right candidate for them.
Now, would they have more than one personal assistant? In other words, would they have one help you with your shopping and another one to do something? I mean, how does that work? Do you have one?
It's really up to the consumer.
It's consumer
I know,
directed.
It's consumer directed. That's what makes it.
And that works.
Absolutely. And what happens is that a consumer can't come off the street and come to us and say, I want to start using your services. They have to be eligible for Medicaid, and then they have to be approved.
Oh, it goes through Medicaid.
Yes, and then they have to be approved by either the local Department of Social Services, or if they have Medicaid managed care, their managed care plan. And they'll come in and they'll do a nursing assessment and social assessment, and they'll determine if they need the services, and from those assessments, working with that consumer, we'll develop what's called a plan of care, and that will list off all the tasks. It might include housekeeping, it might include assistance with shopping, it might include the bathing, the dressing, and then it will also include the number of hours per week that they need for that. And that plan of care becomes that consumer's sort of template for this is what I can have my personal assistant do. Now, if they want one person to do it, if they want multiple people to do it, if they want to divvy up tasks, it really is up to what works best for that consumer.
And do they do that every day, so they could have them 5 days a week or 6 days a week? How does
it absolutely depends
everything
on, absolutely, it really depends on the
needs.
number of hours and the needs and what the consumer wants.
Now, you mentioned Medicaid, but suppose somebody's watching and they say, you know, that'd be perfect for me. I don't have Medicaid and I'd be willing to pay. Is that...
We do have something called an LLC. It's our LLC. It's our subsidiary.
You got a lot of acronyms.
I know. It's our subsidiary.
You're
and that
easy.
I know. It's a private pay. It is exactly the consumer-directed personal assistance model, only it's private pay. So right now, the way that in private pay, you can pay under the table, but you are creating a lot of risk for yourself, and it's also not legal.
No, it's not legal, but it's
done.
Whoever you're paying, you give them a 1099,
exactly.
right?
So, but with us, what we will do is we'll do that payroll for you on behalf of you for the personal assistant, and we pay the taxes. We can provide benefits. We do workers' comp, unemployment insurance, because that's another trouble that can happen. So that's what we provide in a private pay. So they can also do it on a private pay basis.
So you carry insurance on all your employees, so that because I mean that's something that people have to think about too.
Yeah. Well, we have workers' comp and unemployment insurance, and yes, that's what we do for the personal assistants on behalf of the consumers. We don't ever consider them our employees. They're always the consumers.
They're a 1099.
Yeah, they're always the consumers' employees.
Right,
So.
and they get a 1099 for.
They get W-2 forms.
Or W-2s,
Yeah,
okay.
they do get W-2 forms.
Because you're keeping track of everything.
Yeah, because they're
I
under
gotta
our...
know the details
Yeah,
here.
they're under our, our federal ID number,
Okay.
but so they get W-2 forms. But we always, they are considered the...
They're independent in a sense that
yes.
way, because the consumer is the one that tells them when to come and
Absolutely.
how. Yeah, okay, so
Absolutely.
that's how that works. Okay, good. What counties do you serve?
We serve 5 counties in the Greater Capital Region. We have Albany, Schenectady, Saratoga, Columbia, and Greene counties.
Wow. And how long have you been around?
We have been around. We were established in 1997 by a group of consumers, and they became operational in 2001. And our founding CEO, Constance Lehman, she passed away unexpectedly last year, but she really built the agency from the ground up and actually was an integral part of the program statewide. So the program is what it is in Buffalo, in Plattsburgh, down in Long Island, because she had an influence in that.
Wow.
So, and most of our board, the majority of our board at this time is are consumers, current consumers or former designated representatives, or people with disabilities. So it's still an agency that is controlled by people with disabilities, by the end users. So
they've been around this long, and I'm sorry, I did not know it, and I'm so glad you came to the show to talk about this, because this is really an interesting
Thank you
program.
very much. We like to get the word out. We
and
feel
you're
as though
doing
not
it
enough
right
people,
now.
not enough people know about it.
And you check us out on Facebook too at Schenectady Today in and around the Capital Region. You can find out all about these guests. So just go there and read up the write-up and links, and everything is right there. Elizabeth, it's so nice to meet you, and I'm so glad that you came to the show today, and I'm learning a lot too.
Thank you very much.